guys, Travis here from Morbark, Western Region Territory Manager. I'm standing here at the WC ISA show in San Diego with a BVR 13 chipper. Now, some of you guys haven't had the ability to get in front of one of these chippers yet, and a lot of you that have may not fully understand exactly what features have changed on the BVR line from the Eager Beaver line, and or how to translate those features into benefits that speak to pain points that your customers are having. So what I'm going to do today is, this is really aimed at dealership sales reps. Of course, if a customer sees this video, that's perfectly fine. But as you guys are watching this video, just know that I'm aiming a lot of this conversation towards the sales reps at the dealerships out there so that they better understand how to translate this information to you. Okay, so I'm going to start through a couple of the flagship features that have changed on the BVR line from the Eager Beaver product line. First and foremost, you guys, we recognize that the centrifugal clutch on the 1215 model has been a game changer for us for many years. So one of the features on all of the BVR chippers is the centrifugal clutch. What that means is, all you have to do is turn the machine on, check to make sure there's nothing obstructing, right? When you throttle up that engine, the clutch will engage by itself. That completely eliminates the need for an operator who knows how to engage the clutch, or eliminates the probability that something will go wrong with that clutch. In addition to that, I spoke a little bit ago about maintenance on a machine. The maintenance on a centrifugal clutch is a fraction of the cost and a fraction of the time. Now, it varies from the smaller machines up to the larger machines what that cost is. But what I'm told is, on the largest, it's $1,200 and about a half an hour to change. On the smaller models, it's a few $100s and about the same amount of time to change out those pads in that centrifugal clutch. You do need to make sure that you're maintaining that clutch. It's not a set it and quit it thing. I had a guy that has a 1215 recently. We discovered that he hadn't maintained his pads on the clutch. That is something you need to be aware of. Okay, so flagship feature. One of the other flagship features that we've got on this machine is our reverse pivot yoke design. Now, this is more in line with our industrial machines. What this does is it brings that feed wheel closer to the drum and in line with that drum. It reduces the space between the feed wheel and the drum, reducing the chances of a big chunk of material to be stuck in there, but also it gives you additional down pressure, crushing power. The BVR 13 and up have the lift crush features on it, but this reverse pivot design will give you additional crushing power. Okay, and so let's say that there is something lodged in there. You start the machine up, or there's something lodged in the chute. I want to go back to the centrifugal clutch for a minute, because there's a feature, there's a drum speed sensor that will not allow the centrifugal clutch to engage if there's something obstructing here in the yoke drum area, or if there's something in the chute. So there's an added fail-safe with this particular clutch when it comes to obstructions. Okay, so we've got the centrifugal clutch, you have the reverse pivot design. One of the other features I really like and customers are really raving about already is bringing the control panel to the back of the machine. Now, this feature means that your customers, your chipper operators, never have to leave the back of the machine. As you know, safety is the #1 factor to consider. You wear your proper PPE gear, but you're safe while you're using the machine. Those are two things, the first things that we talk about with our customers when we're demoing a machine. Then we get into the machine. So safety being a consideration, with the control panel back here, your operators never have to leave each other's side while they're chipping materials. That means people go home safe. That means also that you can keep your eyes on what's being produced back here and make sure that everything's going right. You get more done this way. So the less time this operator has to leave this area, the better. Panel is back here now. We also have composite side covers, composite fuel and hydraulic tanks on this BVR line that reduces the weight. They're also they're roto-molded so there are no welded seams to leak. You're not going to have any issues with those. This is especially important on the larger models where a weight concern is coming into play, right? Especially with the 16-inch Infeed or the 16-inch materials chippers. For example, the BVR 19, we can get a CAT 174 diesel engine on that machine, keep it under 10,000 pounds because of some of the weight reduction things that we've done with the design. That means you don't have to have CDL with a diesel chipper in that capacity machine. It's amazing. And look, all of these features that we are pointing out today have been driven by the customers. These are customer-based changes that will literally revolutionize the way that they do business out there. Okay, so again, modular design, the benefit to the customer on this is, well, first of all, we can get things to production faster. So if they have a bigger order, this same trailer frame design here will work on the BVR 10, likewise with the 16 and 19s. So they're producing the frames and then they assemble after. That means to the customer, if, for example, a tree falls on their infeed and crushes it, this is bolted on, it's modular design, they unbolt it, bolt the new one on, they're back in business. Okay, so while we're at the infeed, I do want to mention we have controls now on both sides. Okay, this machine is a BVR 13. You can get a winch on this one. You can't on the BVR 10, but on the 13 and up, you can. It is going to be a 2,500 pound winch. I believe the length is 50 feet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bob. 50 feet with a 10-foot chafe guard to make sure that you're not going to get fraying as it gets closer to the to being pulled in. Now, we can talk about winch safety in another video. I think you guys do need to understand that there's a winch safety lock on there that the hook has to be connected and pulled tight in order for the feed works to operate. That's a whole nother video, but for the sake of this one, I did want to mention that that's an option. Now with that, I'll tell you that our wiring harness is set up for plug and play. Our hydraulics are set up so that everything is already plumbed. You can add the options later. Okay, and the reason that's important is you've got a guy out there that has a BVR 13 and, oh, I need to get a winch on this machine. No problem. We order the winch kit. I can share with you guys the winch kit number. You order that, you guys can easily plug and play and put that option on this machine. Another amazing game changer maintenance feature on this machine, right down here, is a side load adjust anvil. Okay, it's side load and it's adjustable right here. No longer do you have to climb under the machine, have two guys working to get this thing adjusted. It's very simple. Now it's side load. Guys that know, if you know, you know. And if you've had to deal with an anvil adjustment from underneath the machine, this is going to save a lot of time and headache. One more thing, while I'm on this side of the machine, there's a Cleanout Door trap right here. You pull a lever, that trap opens, and now all that material that would otherwise get clogged in your feed works just falls right underneath, and then you can just pull the chipper up, sweep it up later, and you're back in business. It's not going to be trapped inside the feed works. There's a Cleanout Door right here. As you'll probably notice, there's a better ergonomic design with our chute on this machine. That combined with the torque that we're getting out of this drum. It's a 16¼ inch by 18-inch drum. On this machine, there are two staggered pockets with two knives. This particular chute design has incredible throwing power. And I'm just going to tell you, demo the machine, and you can see for yourself. It's going to pack a truck. I had a guy say to me, I wasn't really sold on it, but now that I've used the machine, I get it. This thing is incredible. And don't take it from me, please. You guys are sales reps. Get a machine in front of your customer. Put them side by side with a competitive model. Let them see for themselves. We can share with them these talking points. We can share how we have solved their pain points. But when they see it, they'll get it. Okay, while I'm talking about the drum, I want to mention that all the knives on the BVR chipper line are compatible across every model. So if you've got a guy that has a BVR 10 and a BVR 13 and a 16, it's one set of knives. That's all he's got to carry around. All right, so on the other side, we talked about a lot of the features. On this side, I want to mention a couple of things here. First, starting with the tongue, we have a 12-inch and an 18-inch extension available for the tongue. We've also moved the battery box from the tongue to just here behind the engine. So the battery is easily accessible, and now you can see that composite tank here. There's also a composite tank there in the back. One thing I want to mention about the BVR 13, this engine here is a 74 horse Deutz diesel. We also have a 74 horsepower Deutz gasoline version and a 133 horsepower PSI engine option for this machine. Of course, there are different different engine options on the different machines out there. That's what's on this particular machine. While we're here, I also want to mention the chute rotates a full 360 degrees now. Again, you can see that nice chute, ergonomic chute design. One thing I want to mention here, we've eliminated the hood safety pin, that old pin that there were issues with. Now there's a proximity sensor. So this little bar, black bar right here, comes down and meets this little red sensor right there. It's kind of like the sensor in your home alarm system. When they disconnect from each other, when they separate, the magnet sends a signal that, hey, something has changed here. Well, in this case, it stops the engine from working because you don't want anyone opening up this hood without doing a lockout tagout procedure on the control panel. Make sure you're doing that, please. While we are here, I want to mention that there are no longer removable and changeable pockets for the knives. Okay, so they're just directly bolted to the drum. I know that there were some questions about that. I wanted to mention that that is no longer available on the BVR line. There's conversations, but right now there are no removable pockets here. As you move back, you can see hydraulics are protected. You've got hoses that are open here, but we have found that as long as you're not doing something wrong, you're not going to have an issue with these areas. We've protected the sensitive parts, but these, unless you're dropping branches on your chipper, you won't have an issue. So that was a question that came up here at the show. Easy to remove fenders here, so you can get to the side load anvil, which is accessible from this side as well. On the feed, back here again, on the infeed, you can see controls on this side. If this was equipped with a 2,500 pound winch, you would be able to control it from this side as well. Fantastic. One last thing I want to mention about this area, this 3-position control bar is electronic now in lieu of hydraulic linkage. So there are a lot of changes that I talked about today, you guys. And again, this video is primarily aimed at the sales reps at the dealerships for you to get a better understanding of what has changed on the BVR line compared to the Eager Beaver line. One thing I want to mention, that when you're talking about these features to your customers, this is the sales manager coming out in me, okay? I want you to use the FAB selling method. This isn't some slick trick that you're going to pull on a customer. Instead, think of it this way. You're going to link a feature to an advantage and a benefit. And I simply use a link statement. And this is the link statement, which means that. So when I'm talking about the centrifugal clutch, I will say, this machine features the centrifugal clutch, which means that your operators will no longer run into any issues where they're burning out clutches by improperly engaging them. Okay, so this machine features a side load anvil, which means that you no longer have to have 2 guys and climb under the machine just to adjust it. This machine features controls at the back of the machine, which means that, okay, so think in terms of those link statements. You're tying a feature to an advantage and a benefit by using those link statements. And you're only going to do this, you guys, to the pain point that your customer has shared with you. You might not go through every single option on this machine or have the ability to when you're doing a demo, but you do know what their pain points are. You do know what obstacles they've come up against and what challenges they've had. So speak to those when you talk about the features, and then if you can, work in some of the other options that we've got on the machine. All right, guys, before I close up this video, I want to mention one feature of the Morbark chipper that I forgot to talk about. And this is a big one. Okay, our frame extends beyond the throat opening of the machine. That means that your customer's using loaders or winching heavy materials and putting it up on that infeed, you're going to get the extra support of that frame underneath that throat opening. That's huge, you guys. I can guarantee if you're using a loader on a competitive model, you're going to see cracks in that infeed. I guarantee it. It's prevalent out there. So one of the main features and selling points of the Morbark chipper line, which is included on the BVR here, is that frame that extends under the throat. Okay, now I'm going to briefly recap everything that I talked about in this video. First and foremost, the zero clutch or the centrifugal clutch. The operators no longer have to do the bump method. You simply turn the machine on, you throttle it up, and you're ready to start putting materials through. The reverse yoke pivot yoke design. Okay, that is, again, it's in line with our industrial models. That's going to help give you additional crushing power. It also brings that feed wheel, the top feed wheel, closer to the drum, reducing the dead space in between there. That's important. There's a drum speed sensor, so it's connected to the clutch, but it means that if there is something obstructing between that drum and that feed wheel, the clutch won't engage and burn out the clutch, so it just simply won't engage. Likewise, if there's something stuck in the chute, drum speed sensor. The control panel is at the infeed, and that means that the operator can stay back at the back of the machine where all the important work is happening, keep his guys safe back there, and keep his eye on production. He'll get more done that way. Composite tanks and side covers. We have reduced the weight without compromising durability. Plain and simple. That's very important on the bigger machines, as I've said, especially that 16-inch capacity machine with the diesel engine on it. We need that reduced weight, and we're able to do that in part because of the composite tanks that are roto-molded. Modular design. Now this is important because we can get machines through production a little bit faster, but also that means it's easier to make repairs and changes on the machine because it's simply unbolt a piece that needs to be changed and bolt the new one on, and you're back in business. The feed controls at the infeed. Okay, so they're on both sides. As you can see on the video, you've got not only the feed start, but you also have the hydraulic lift crush button on there, and you've got the winch. If you've got a winch option installed on the machine, you've got that button on both sides as well. I also want to mention at this point, or remind you guys, that the wiring harness is ready. It's plug and play. So if you want to add some option later, likewise with the hydraulics, it's plumbed already. We've made it simple for you guys. Okay, plug and play and plumbed already for the harness and the hydraulics. Side load Anvil, that's a game changer, guys. Everyone's telling me what a pain in the butt it's been to climb under that machine. So with the side load Anvil, you're going to reduce the downtime on the machine and make changing or adjusting that anvil a snap. There's a Cleanout Door with a lever right on the side. It's amazing, you guys. If you've got really fibrous materials, especially in the West Coast, you've got palm stuck in the feed works, clean out that, or just drop the drawer and it just cleans out for you. While we are talking about palm, there's a new ergonomic design for that chute. That really does help get some of that material out through the chute, and you'll enjoy a little bit better throwing power with that design as well. We're talking about the interchangeable knives. And while I want to mention that the knife pockets are not, they're not removable or changeable. So that is something, again, that is not featured currently on the BVR line. On the front of the machine, we've got a 12-inch and an 18-inch tongue extension that is not retractable. It is bolt on, bolt off. The battery has been moved from the tongue to just behind the engine, and it is also enclosed in a composite material. 360-degree chute, I forgot to mention that, but I did want to let you guys know that it is now 360 degrees. Obviously, you wouldn't aim it towards the infeed where you're working, but what we have found, and I want you to try this for yourselves, you can put it, if the infeed is 6 o'clock, you can put it at 4 and 8, so you're shooting past you, and you're still going to get that incredible discharge power out of there. So try it for yourselves. We tried it. We were pretty amazed that it happened. The hood safety lock is now a sensor. It's not that plug anymore. It's a proximity sensor. That will eliminate a lot of issues that we were having with that. 3-position control bar. So that's electric. It's not hydraulic linkage anymore. So it's a very responsive electric three-position control bar. A much more ergonomic Infeed design. If you look at the old design compared to the new design, you're going to see that we've widened it. We've added some angles on there. And what that's going to do is just guide all that material right into the Infeed. While I'm talking about the Infeed and that throat, we have incredible update bars and teeth on the feed rollers. Have a look at that the next time you're demoing a machine or standing in front of a BVR machine. Look at what they did to those teeth. The power, the gripping power with those new teeth is just incredible. I know I say incredible a lot, you guys, but I'm amazed at all the changes. I've said this also before. We were skeptical of what the engineers were going to be able to do, but the engineers worked very closely with the sales reps, and all that customer feedback has been incorporated. So it really is incredible. You'll see for yourself, and if it's not incredible, I'll buy you a drink or coffee or whatever. What I want to stress with this machine, with the BVR line, is the ease of use and ease of maintenance. We all know that the sale is just the first part of the customer interaction. After sales support is really what this is all about, which is why we invest so heavily in our dealer network, why you guys are so important to us, because it's after the sale that we really show the customer the quality of our product and that we stand by that quality. So with the ease of use and ease of maintenance of the BVR product line, you guys are in a prime position to give that customer that additional support and make them the happiest customers out there. That's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're not trying to win any races here, slow and steady. We just want to prove that we are making a superior machine and that we're innovating for a customer based on their needs and feedback. And with that, I'll just remind you guys, when you're talking to your customers, I'll close up here. When you're talking to your customers, make sure you're tying those features to a benefit so that they understand why these things are really important. At first glance, when you look at our BVR product, the line, it might just look like an old Morbark chipper. But when you stop and look at it, and I've had someone walk by the show earlier today, and they looked and then they did a double take and went, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't look the same. And I said, come over here, let me talk to you about this. By the time I went through all the new changes, they said, well, this is a completely different machine. It is, but it's a Morbark, high quality Morbark machine. You guys are going to be happy with it. So again, call me with any questions. Let's talk about getting in front of your customers, set up some demos. I'll walk you guys through it. If I'm able, I would like to go with you to those demos. So let's make it happen, you guys. I'm really happy you're on our side. Have a good one.